Good day and welcome to Focus On with me, Baudrand. We're here at Mining Indaba, and for 30 years, industry leaders and government have been discussing the future of African mining, commodities, and the way forward. And one part of that is how to contain its operational cost. Joining me to discuss this in more detail is Francisco Baudrand, Vice President and CEO of Enaex Africa. I want to get a better understanding as to Enaex's involvement in helping mining leaders when it comes to containing the operational cost.
Well, I would always like to start saying that for us, safety is the most important thing. So when we talk about cost, I have to bring into the table that we prioritize life, and that safety, we put it first in everything that we do. But in terms of cost, what we are doing is, and this is including changing our own structure within Enaex Africa, we need to bring more excellence to the operation. We want to be known as the most knowledgeable company from a technical perspective. And to do that, of course, we will need to upskill our people. But the relevant thing is when you have people that are upskilled, when you have technical knowledge, you are able to do a lot of things for the productivity of the mine. Just a couple of examples. Technically, you know that you can have wider drilling patterns, so you have less holes to load with explosive. You use less explosive. You get a better fragmentation. So in the whole process, the savings are big. And for that, the use of technology is key. We are using technology. We are adopting artificial intelligence, digitalization. We have a project, what we call Enaex Bright. And basically, as I say, these are going to give so good information to take good decisions previously the design of the blast. And that ultimately counts in a higher productivity and much better efficiency for the mine, which is what the customers want now. They need to cut costs because we are in a bad cycles in terms of commodities. So we are trying to be very empathetic with them. But it's not only about decreasing prices. This is about increasing the productivity of that mine, of that customer, and we are the experts to do that.
You touch on technology, which is quite relevant because AI has progressed quite far over the past couple of years. But how are you using AI to continue transforming the mining sector?
I think that there's a consistency that I like in terms of this because, first of all, we have a purpose, which is to humanize mining. And that's why many years ago, we started with the project of teleoperations. When you do teleoperation, basically, you have, again, to upskill people, and you're able to teleoperate an MMU, a track, far from the ground. That's also something that's very relevant for safety, because we are exposing less people in the ground, and we are driving the MMU far away. That was like the first stage. But, of course, where we are going is to autonomous operation. And for that, artificial intelligence is key. So we are using artificial intelligence to upgrade from the teleoperations to autonomy. Very interesting. We have done a partnership with the University of Stellenbosch. And I want to highlight this because with that, this partnership is for robotics projects, is for technology projects, and also that will help us a lot to fast-track this artificial intelligence path in South Africa. And remember, we always say, Enaex is a global company. We're the third largest explosive company in the world. We are global. We are in many continents. But when we are talking about Enaex Africa, we act as a local company. That's why I feel very proud in the sense that, for example, partnering with a local university. We could partner with many universities in the world, but this local university is good at that. So another example about technology, Davidtronic, that is our electronic detonator. The technology, when we acquired the Big4, was sitting in France, and we imported all the product. But today, the Davidtronic is produced locally in South Africa. That's not only about jobs, and bringing technology, is also bringing technology to South Africa that was sitting in France. You transfer the technology to South Africa, and that's a very good example. And there's a very important other, I would say, advantage of having our Daytronic plant in South Africa that has to do with the security of supply, because the detonators are there. You don't have to fly them from France. And I think lastly, it's interesting to talk about, when we talk about security of supply, more than talking about technology, this is something that I know it's one of the key pains for any customer, is to have the most important raw material on time and available, and that's the ammonium nitrate. And for that, we have done a couple of projects, but the most relevant is that we have increased our facilities to storage ammonium nitrate, which is the key raw material for our industry, on a 70%. And I can tell you this has been difficult to obtain because licenses and permits have been more difficult to obtain in the last years. And we have just inaugurated that warehouse. We had to do a big investment to be in compliance with all what is needed. And we are already putting product there. And that will allow us to be able to navigate in times where the security of supply goes down, because the supply chain in South Africa is very challenging. So when you cannot import, when there's a lack of ammonia in the country or different things, we will have an extra line, and that is key for our current customers and for the future customers as well.
Another key focus area for mines is that of sustainability. What are you doing to be part of that sustainable solution?
Well, we understand very well the relevance of sustainability in that sense. And also interesting, when we say our priority is life, we are saying life is safety, but also life has to do with environment, has to do with communities, okay? So in terms of ESG, I think there's a very interesting project that we call Enaex, in which we are willing to produce green ammonia in Chile. Enaex, that is a Chilean company, has the largest ammonium nitrate facility in the world, 800,000 tons per year of production of ammonium nitrate. So in that plant, we want to be able, instead of importing gray ammonia, we are partnering with other companies. So through solar energy, you produce hydrogen through a process that is called electrolysis. Then that green hydrogen, you have to mix it with nitrogen, which is air, and then you will have a green ammonia, and therefore a greener ammonium nitrate, a green ammonium nitrate. For you to know, 90% of our carbon footprint today at Enaex, and basically I'm speaking about Chile, that we have this massive plant, comes from the gray ammonia. Then, secondly, we do look after the water usage, also about how we waste, how we deal with every waste related to hazardous products. So that's very relevant also from the environment, and also decarbonization. I have an example in that, because in 2009, Enaex did a big investment to put catalyzers and filters to our NAP plants, which are the ones that produce the nitric acid. And through that, the United Nations certifies that you are decreasing your carbon footprint. And just for you to have an idea, that this is a marketing thing that we said in that moment because we are Chilean, but I don't know the numbers with Johannesburg or Cape Town, but in all the CO2 that was not going to the atmosphere because of these filters is equivalent to park all the cars of Santiago de Chile. So it's a big one. And the other thing relevant is, because of the chemical processes in our most important facility, we are able to use the vapor back. So we have like 40% of autonomy in terms of energy. That's very relevant in terms of also decarbonization. And finally, when we talk about ESG, for me the best metric is the fact that we have been part of the Dow Jones Sustainability Index consistently getting better. And by the way, the last result, we were on the top 10 of the chemical industry within the chemical industry, we were the top 10 companies around the world.
As we quickly bring this conversation to a close, I just want to get touch on social responsibility within the community and then Enaex's future within the mining sector.
Okay, so when we talk about communities, we have very clear that on one side, the communities that we look after and where we collaborate is first the communities where we operate. Second, and very relevant, we work together with our customers to collaborate and work together in the communities where they operate, because 70% of our people work in our customer sites. And we have another pillar that is what we call going beyond CSR. And for that, we have chosen the early childhood development as a key area that can be improved in South Africa. It's very well and understand that if you don't impact the life of the people at that age, you don't have enough nutrition. If they don't have enough learning, first the nutrition is a big problem because you don't develop your brain enough, and you might not be an asset to the society, which is very bad. Then you can have nutrition, but if you don't have that education between the 1 year and the 5 years, you would probably not be able to read and write. And then, again, that's a very big thing. So we did our first project in Limpopo, Bohlale Daycare Center, which is ready. We doubled the infrastructure. We are upskilling the teachers because we want them to really know and learn. Was nice because when we did the ribbon cut there, the kids were already being able to identify colors. They were able to speak a little bit of English. So then what we're doing in this kind of project is choose a very poor village in the middle of nowhere where no one is going to come and give a help, because they're not next to a mining house or they're not next to a big chemical company. They're in the middle of nowhere. And this pre-primary school fits a primary school. So now we're moving to upgrade and help the primary school. And in parallel, we have identified an early childhood development center in the Eastern Cape. Again, poor village. And we believe that through the upskilling of these kids and upskilling the primary school, we will get professionals in the future. Hopefully some of those professionals can work with us because the brand will be with them.
That was Francisco Baudrand, Vice President and CEO of Enaex Africa. And that's how we wrap up this episode of Focus On. Goodbye.